What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Immigration Update. I'm talking about massive wins that just dropped in January 2026, and trust me, you do not want to miss a single detail of what I'm about to share with you today. So go ahead and smash that like button right now, and let's dive straight into this game-changing update. All right, so January 2026 just kicked off with some absolutely monumental developments in the immigration world, and I've been getting hundreds of messages from you guys asking me to break this down. So that's exactly what we're doing today. We're going to walk through every single major win that immigrants are celebrating right now, and I'm going to explain exactly what this means for you, your family, and your future in this country. Let me start by saying this. What we're witnessing right now is unprecedented. After years of uncertainty, after countless challenges, after so many families wondering if their dreams would ever come true, we're finally seeing some real tangible progress. And I'm not just talking about minor policy tweaks or administrative adjustments. I'm talking about fundamental changes that are opening doors that many people thought were permanently closed. The first major win I need to tell you about involves processing times. Now, I know what you're thinking. We've heard promises about faster processing before, right? But here's the difference. The data that just came out for January 2026 shows that multiple service centers have reduced their backlogs by substantial margins. We're seeing employment-based green card applications that used to take 18 to 24 months now being processed in under 12 months at certain centers. Family-based petitions that were stuck in limbo for years are suddenly moving forward. And the most exciting part, this isn't just happening in one or two categories. We're seeing improvements across the board. What's driving this change? Well, there are several factors at play here. First, there's been a significant investment in digitization and modernization of the entire immigration system. We're talking about artificial intelligence being deployed to handle routine paperwork, automated systems that can flag issues early in the process, and digital platforms that allow applicants to track their cases in real time with actual transparency. Gone are the days of calling customer service dozens of times just to get a generic update. The new tracking systems are giving people real information about where their cases stand and what the next steps are. But it's not just about technology. There's also been a major hiring initiative that brought thousands of new adjudicators and support staff into the system. These aren't just warm bodies filling seats. We're talking about trained professionals who understand the complexities of immigration law, who can make informed decisions, and who are empowered to move cases forward efficiently. The training programs that were implemented throughout 2025 are now paying dividends, and we're seeing the results in these dramatically improved processing times. Now, let me talk about the second massive win, and this one is going to excite a lot of you who have been waiting for Visa Bulletin movement. January 2026 brought some of the most favorable Visa Bulletin updates we've seen in years. For those of you who follow these bulletins religiously, you know that even a few weeks of movement can mean the difference between waiting another year or finally getting your green card. Well, what we saw this month wasn't just a few weeks of movement. In several categories, we saw advancements measured in months and in some cases even years. The employment-based second preference category, which covers professionals with advanced degrees, saw significant forward movement. The family-based categories, particularly F2A and F2B, also experienced notable progress. And here's what's really encouraging. The projections for the rest of 2026 suggest that this momentum is going to continue. We're not looking at a one-time spike that's going to plateau next month. The underlying factors suggest sustained progress throughout the year. Why is this happening now? Part of it comes down to policy adjustments that have streamlined how visa numbers are allocated and distributed. There's been a concerted effort to ensure that available visa numbers don't go unused at the end of each fiscal year, which was a persistent problem in the past. The coordination between different agencies has improved dramatically, which means fewer bureaucratic bottlenecks and more efficient use of the resources that are available. Moving on to the third major development, and this is something that's going to impact students and recent graduates in a huge way. We're seeing expanded opportunities and clearer pathways for international students who want to transition from student status to work authorization and eventually to permanent residency. The optional practical training programs have been enhanced with new provisions that give students more flexibility and longer time frames to secure employment in their field of study. What's particularly exciting is that certain STEM fields are now eligible for extended work authorization periods beyond what was previously available. We're talking about cutting-edge industries like artificial intelligence, renewable energy, advanced manufacturing, and biotechnology. The recognition that America needs to retain top talent in these critical sectors has translated into concrete policy changes that benefit international students who have invested years of their lives studying in American universities. But it's not just about work authorization. There's also been clarification on the pathways from student status to employment-based green cards. And the guidance that came out in early January 2026 has removed a lot of the ambiguity that used to leave students and their employers uncertain about the process. Immigration attorneys across the country are reporting that their clients in student status are now able to plan their futures with much greater confidence than they could even 6 months ago. Now, here's a fourth win that I'm really excited to share with you, and this affects families who have been separated by immigration status. We're seeing a renewed commitment to family reunification with policies that acknowledge the human cost of prolonged separations. New provisional waiver programs have been introduced that allow certain family members to remain in the United States while their waiver applications are being processed, rather than having to leave the country and risk extended separations. The criteria for hardship waivers have also been clarified and in many cases made more accessible. Immigration officers are receiving better training on how to evaluate hardship claims with appropriate consideration for the real-world circumstances that families face. This doesn't mean that every case is automatically approved, but it does mean that deserving cases have a much better chance of being adjudicated fairly and with appropriate discretion. Additionally, there have been improvements in how consular processing is handled for family-based cases. Wait times for interview appointments at many consulates have decreased, and the documentation requirements have been standardized in a way that reduces confusion and unnecessary delays. Families are reporting that the entire process from petition approval to visa issuance is happening in timeframes that would have seemed impossible just a year or two ago. Let's talk about the fifth major win, which involves protections and benefits for certain vulnerable populations. We're seeing enhanced protections for victims of crimes who are cooperating with law enforcement, expanded eligibility for humanitarian relief programs, and clearer pathways for individuals fleeing persecution or violence in their home countries. The asylum system, which has been under tremendous strain for years, is beginning to function more efficiently thanks to additional resources and improved processes. What's particularly noteworthy is that these improvements aren't coming at the expense of security or thorough vetting. In fact, the enhanced technology and additional staffing mean that cases can be examined more thoroughly while also being processed more quickly. It's not a choice between speed and thoroughness anymore. The system is finally reaching a point where it can deliver both. For entrepreneurs and investors, January 2026 brought some exciting developments as well. This is our sixth major win. There's renewed emphasis on attracting global talent and investment to American shores with streamlined processes for certain visa categories that support business development and job creation. The startup visa programs that have been in pilot phases are now being expanded and formalized, giving innovative entrepreneurs clearer pathways to building their businesses in the United States. The investment thresholds for certain programs have been adjusted to reflect economic realities while still ensuring that the programs serve their intended purpose of spurring economic growth and job creation. Regional centers are reporting increased interest from qualified investors, and the approval rates for well-documented cases have improved significantly. Now, I want to talk about something that affects everyone in the immigration system, regardless of their specific category or situation. This is the seventh win, and it's about transparency and communication. The immigration agencies have made substantial strides in improving how they communicate with applicants, petitioners, and their representatives. Gone are the days when a request for evidence would arrive with vague instructions and impossible deadlines. The RF being issued now are more specific, more reasonable, and more aligned with the actual requirements of the law. The customer service experience has also improved dramatically. While no one expects perfection from government agencies, the fact that you can now reach a live person who can access your case information and provide meaningful updates is a massive improvement over the frustrating automated systems of the past. Online portals have been upgraded to provide real-time status updates, document upload capabilities, and direct communication channels with adjudicators when appropriate. Let me share the eighth major win with you, and this involves workplace protections and labor rights for immigrants. There's been increased enforcement against employers who exploit immigrant workers, stronger protections against retaliation for those who report labor violations, and clearer guidance on the rights that workers have, regardless of their immigration status. This creates a more level playing field and helps prevent the race to the bottom that can occur when employers think they can mistreat workers with impunity. For those of you on employment-based visas, this also means better protections if you experience layoffs or other employment disruptions. The grace periods for finding new employment have been clarified and in some cases extended. The portability provisions that allow workers to change employers without starting their green card process over from scratch are being applied more consistently and fairly. The ninth win I want to highlight involves access to education and professional licensing for immigrants and their family members. Several states have moved to allow DACA recipients and other immigrants with work authorization to qualify for professional licenses in fields like healthcare, law, and education. This opens up career pathways that were previously blocked and allows talented individuals to contribute their skills where they're desperately needed. For families with children, there have also been improvements in access to higher education financial aid and in-state tuition rates for students who have grown up in the United States, regardless of their immigration status. These changes recognize the reality that many young people have spent their entire lives in America and deserve the opportunity to reach their full potential. Finally, the 10th major win that I want to share with you involves community support and resources. There's been a proliferation of legal aid programs, community organizations, and support networks that are helping immigrants navigate the system successfully. Pruno Legal Services have expanded. Know Your Rights campaigns have reached more people, and community leaders are working to ensure that immigrants understand both their rights and their responsibilities. So there you have it, 10 massive wins that January 2026 has brought for immigrants across this country. From faster processing times to clearer pathways, from family reunification to workplace protections, from educational opportunities to community support, we're seeing progress on multiple fronts simultaneously. Now, before we wrap up, I want you to remember something important. These wins didn't happen by accident. They happened because people stayed informed, because communities organized, because advocates pushed for change, and because immigrants themselves refused to give up on their dreams. And that's exactly why you need to stay connected to this channel. Make sure you're subscribed. Hit that like button if you found this information valuable, and share this video with anyone who needs to hear this news. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these 10 wins affects you most directly. I read every single comment, and your stories help me understand what content you need most. Until next time, this has been Immigration Update, and I'll see you in the next video with more breaking news and essential updates. Stay informed, stay hopeful, and keep pushing toward your American